Good afternoon, everybody. Tom Matuska here with the Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company, and I'm here with Brett Wingfield, and we're going on, is this number 5 on the Bobcat? Probably. And we're going to try to get as much done as we can today. In previous sessions, you saw us kind of rough in a base. We altered the form. We made the legs and feet conform to the base work. I think you saw us make some of the rock work and some of the branches, and reinforce the legs. We put Bondo and wires in the legs because we had cut them all apart to alter him into the pose that the customer wanted. Last week we spent quite a bit of time on ears. To me, ears and eyes are important. Everybody says that the eyes don't look right, the animal isn't going to look natural. That's kind of the same way with the ears. You can fluff a lot of hair in the body of the animal, and you know, he'll look kind of like a bobcat. But if the eyes are not symmetrical and if the attitude is not, if you didn't capture it quite right, they don't look good as well as the ears. So we spent kind of a lot of time working on the ears. We used Gary Zahner ear liners. We built the clay ear bases into the mannequin, coated it with hide paste the day before, and then we popped them off, much like we do deer mannequins. So your base and your ear liner are all together. With the Gary Zahner ear liners, they're actually a thermoform plastic, so if you need them opened or closed, you can do that with heat. As we're getting ready tonight, we noticed that one ear is open just a little bit wider. That's real easy to remedy. Take a little hair dryer on warm, get the ear warm, and you can cup it, open it or close it according to what you want. So we'll probably do that before we're finished with this project.
You mentioned using the eyes, and we used the reflective eyes,
We
and
did.
I thought this was interesting. Cole Cruikshank says, I like the reflective eyes as well. I did better with, or no, sorry. I honestly don't even care that they are reflective. For me, it's about accuracy and pupil size and shape. The reflective eyes from Matuska are the most accurate, hands down. So he's saying that the reflective aren't even the biggest part of the eye, which is just an added bonus. But
See, most of the bobcat eyes you get are a slit pupil, like a cat. And when a cat is in low light conditions, that slit gets very, very thin, very pointed at the top and the bottom. Just think of your house cats. As you get into low light situations, that pupil widens, and as it widens, the top and the bottom kind of come together, and in the right situation, it could be almost round, you know, real oval shaped. So they do have a different shape than the typical bobcat eyes that you've seen on the market in the past several years. You just keep reading.
Kevin says, good morning from Australia. I love Fridays with you. I forget they're in the future.
Now wait a minute, what time is it in Australia?
It's morning, like early morning.
Early morning.
Early.
Are they in the future or are they
Future.
behind?
Future.
Future.
They can tell us what's going to happen.
Wow. That's scary.
Interesting.
I see a lot of people liking and sharing. Thanks, keep it up, and we'll choose a winner from last week's shares, and then we'll pick another one for next week. So stay tuned and make sure to share the videos.
Very good. Now, to get to this point, it's very, very important, and I think I stressed it last week, make sure that your skin fits your mannequin precisely, because you don't want to get the face done and start pinning on the animal only to find out he's an inch or two too short or too long, your tail is hanging down on the base, and also remember, you can stretch out an animal too long and he will not come together in the middle. You can stretch him too wide, comes together in the middle, but his tail is up in the middle of his back. So proportionate, you got to do it proportionate. That's where your measurement sheets come in. Make sure that you take very accurate measurements of your the animal. Whether we just skinned a black beaver today, and Jacob will take that beaver carcass and we measure the head and make very accurate measurements of that beaver carcass. And also, I found that it's very helpful to measure them in the pose that you want. I like to do that. The beaver is going to be hunched up, chewing on a branch, beaver style, and we will take that carcass, and we'll pose it in that pose. I find that I can buy forms better that way.
Take your measurement that way.
If you go around a curve, it seems to be a little bit longer. If it's a sway back, it seems to be a little bit shorter. So we try to curve the carcasses in the direction that we want them, whether the hair is on or hair off, and then measure them at that time. Seems to work pretty good. Okay, so we made sure that everything fits really, really well. We set the eyes, we set the ears. We put glue over the ears so that it will hold. We use critter clay. Critter clay, you can get it in 5 pounds, 25 pounds. It's much stronger than stoneware moist or any of the potter's clays. It won't break. And when you use it for your ears, coat it with any of your good hide pastes, and it will put a plastic barrier over there and kind of hold it together. So we did the ears, modeled them on according to our directions. Always use your reference material, whether it's books, whether it's 3D casts, or whatever you happen to be using. We shaped our nostrils, test fitted. We like to test fit all of our skin areas. If you flesh your skin really, really thin, you can overstretch it. So be a little careful there. If you don't flesh your skin really, really well, you'll have trouble getting it over, and it will not look good. So we carved the nostrils and the lip slot. Now in this individual lip slot, whoever cut it, it's kind of interesting. We have one Dremel around here with an adjustable collet, and when you put a bit in it, it doesn't spin true. It gives a little bit of wobble. So I did it on, I think I did it on that springbuck, and my lip slot was so wide, I thought, oh my gosh, what'd I do? And then I saw somebody else in the shop did the same thing on another animal, and I see the Bobcat. So we gotta make sure we don't use that anymore because it doesn't spin through. It makes a much wider trough. So that being the case, I put this skin on just before live today. I put just a little ribbon of clay above the lip line and a little ribbon of clay underneath the lip line, tuck the lips with glue in there, and then with my fingers I can squeeze that together. How come you're laughing at me?
I like how you're making eye contact with me, but you got to make eye contact with your viewers.
Looking at.
Anyway,
I like it.
I do good.
You
good
do
most of the
really
time.
good.
Most of the time. I do that when you were home on pregnancy leave.
Yeah, you
kept
did very
saying,
good.
Man, you'll say, watch the camera, watch the camera.
Focus.
It's hard. But you're talking to me, not the camera.
I know.
Anyway, so if you do have a lip line that's either irregular, we try to smooth them out. But if it does get a little wide on you, just a little ribbon of clay, not a lot. Now it depends on your mannequin. The reason this cat is turned sideways to you is because to speed things up, we kind of worked on half of his face, and I didn't want you to see the other half because it looked so bad. So here comes the scary part of the cat. So this eye, I like to say roughed in. I like to rough things in. I will rough in an eye and just get it somewhat bobcat-y looking. The ears should be pretty good other than some grooming. Half the nose has kind of been done, and I tucked this side of the lip line. Now, depending on your mannequin, there's different areas of detail, and you're going to study your cats. Can you hand me that book? Yeah. There's different areas of detail that you're going to want to pay attention to. They have these little, above their eyes, this little muscle up here where these whiskers come out of. There's these big whiskers come out of there. Now, check your mannequin before you mount. There's a lot of generic, very smooth, I'm looking at you guys, very smooth mannequins out there. If you do not have that detail there, just a little bit of clay, kind of a pea-sized bit of clay on your mannequin, only if you need it. Under both of those. Just before I put the skin down, little bit of clay. You can use critter clay, you can use stoneware moist. It's going to stay there. The skin's going to keep it in place. It'll give that detail that we want right here. Another area that I like to put a very small amount of clay is in the cheek pads, in the whisker pads. Now, it depends on your mannequin. If they're built to full width, Don't be putting on a 1/4 inch of clay or you're gonna end up with chipmunks. Just a soft bit of clay here for roundness. This is one place that I never want to use critter clay because I have to put my whiskers back in later, and oftentimes I do it after they dry, and so I have to poke a pin into the areas where the whiskers go, and you'll see the little black spots. It's real easy to see where the whiskers go. And I'm going to take a pin at the angle that I want, and I'm going to poke that pin in there, and I'm going to dip my whisker in Elmer's glue, pull the pin out, and stick the whisker in. If I have critter clay there, it's very, very difficult to poke a pin through critter clay. So kind of pay attention to that. Slight bit of clay here. If your mannequin is already very full in the muzzle, maybe sand it down a little bit or do or don't, depends on what you're working with. This isn't the best cast, but this is a Gary Zahner Bobcat cast, but there are some other areas of detail in here that you're going to want to pay attention to. Between, I call it the little isthmus between the right here, between the right side of the upper lip, left side of the upper lip. When you flesh that on all animals, you see people do it on fox and coyotes a whole lot. They will thin this area very, very thin here, and when they mount it, they spread it apart. And then that leaves a big area of skin right down the center of his lip, and taxidermists don't know what to do with it. They go, oh my gosh, that looks funny. So they'll try brown. Oh, brown didn't quite do it. Let's try black. So then they get darker, and pretty soon the animals, you'll see them, have a big black strip of skin down there. Animals don't look like that. They don't look like that. So anyway, like llama, think of a llama. You were, weren't you? Anyway, so I like to put a little clay there and a little clay there, form that little line in there and squeeze that together. Your skin doesn't stretch straight across right there, it goes into a sharp valley. So we either carve that valley in or little clay to squeeze it together. There's also quite a bit of detail on the nose. And if you thin your nose out really good, get a good cast nose, or make a muzzle cast yourself, and you can see the detail. There's a little line down the center, and sometimes mannequins won't have that, or if they did, they had a seam there, which they sanded out. Check your profiles. Pretty straight here. You'll see some big old toms with a very slight, I don't want to say Roman nose, but it's not real flat. Look at your reference for your eyes. There's all kinds of different eye attitudes in here. Here's a very alert bobcat eye right here compared to kind of a more relaxed look. And to me, I think that bobcats have a 3-cornered eye set. I mean, I use the 3-corner eye set just like we do on deer. The front corner being the very point where the caruncle is. It goes up to the number 2 corner. Sometimes it can be rounded, the more alert they are. Sometimes it can be flat. Sometimes it can be really relaxed and dip down to a very sharp point in the back corner. And a nice belly down to your first corner again. So that's just some things. Here's a good valley down the center of the nose, which you'll probably lose on the mannequin when you're getting it ready. See that nice crease down there? And that's just where your cartilage comes together under the skin. Also, things to notice as you're working on this animal, notice the straightness. Now, this is a at-rest bobcat. He's not snarling or growling or anything like that. Notice these lines of whiskers, whisker pads. They're pretty straight. If yours are going like a roller coaster, you have hide glue under there, make sure you adjust them. You want to align them like that. Bobcat features, their hair patterns, hair coloration makes it difficult and easy at the same time. It's real easy to see how things should be, but sometimes it's not that easy to get it that way. Just make sure that your right side is the same as your left side. So as we're working on the Bobcat, we kind of get some, you know, here's his ruff, comes all the way down, almost to his throat. This big old collar in the back of his cheek of hair. And then watch how these dark lines from the eye go straight back and then start going down, almost like with the gravity of the ruff. And then just look at the hair patterns, match them the same on the right and the left.
Another notice, just as you had this out, just noticing that this profile
That's a good point.
come in here, and then the fullness in front. So if I show you this in profile, the nose comes here, and then this area in front swells in front of it, just so that you're not flat across here, and then you've got a nice fullness in the front right through there. And that's kind of where you talked about adding that little bit of clay.
Yeah, if you have to do
depending
it.
on your mannequin. That's a nice catty looking profile right there, not to get this too flat across the front. And then looking at him from above, notice this shape as well, that they're not square and flat from straight on.
And there are some exceptionally detailed mannequins out there that have that, you know, beautifully sculpted in. But that's all kind of stuff to watch. Look for the full areas, look for the flat areas, look for the roundness. Okay, should we pull him off and work on him a little bit?
Gosh, we're gonna make this thing look like a cat.
I know, we've got to. We've got a half hour to make him look pretty. Okay, we have a cat's in the cradle.
Keep going.
And silver's blue and little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you coming home, Dad, I don't know when. We'll get together then. You know, we have a good time then.
Good.
How'd I go? All right. You ready?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Are you going?
No, I think you're going.
All right.
Are you going? Are you doing eyes or lips?
I'll do this bottom lip. Now, I haven't done anything on this side. I'm gonna put a very small amount of clay, and like I said, we have to poke whiskers through there if we're gonna put, if you pull your whiskers out, which you don't have to do, we like to, but if you're gonna pull your whiskers out and reinsert them, it's hard to reinsert them through critter clay. So we have a clay here which we use for fish called fish clay, and it's white. It dries clear, or it dries white, and it's very soft clay. There's no strength to it, but it's a great filler and it works very good on cheeks. And I'm just going to take not very much because we don't want to, this is not a chipmunk bobcat. Now, once it's under the skin, I can still push it anywhere that I want. Ideally, I don't really want it any thicker than probably a strong 16th.
So like less than a dime's thickness?
Yeah, that'd be
About a
plenty.
dime.
And to tell how thick you are, you can take any kind of a probe and just stick it in there and,
Oh yeah.
and a little more, but I can smash it out. Okay, now, because I have a large lip line, most of the time around here we try to thin our skin extra thin, and we try to have a very tight lip slot. And if you have a really thin lip slot, really thin skin, it tucks in and there's no fill, there's no repairs, that sort of thing. So I'm just going to take a very small amount of critter clay. Now remember, like I said, this is because somebody messed up. I'm just gonna go right around the back. Now, when I tuck this skin into there, I'm gonna take my fingers and I'm gonna push that clay up tight to that skin, and it's gonna go together really nice, and should go together nice and firm. Okay, pass me a little Dermagrip over there.
Dermagrip on there.
Now, as long as I'm doing this, I'm gonna work glue up underneath the skin. Last week, in an effort to get this on, I just put a plastic bag over my head. Give me another couple scoops like that. A plastic bag over my head, and I slipped the skin right over that. Then I pulled the bag out. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to get it in there on a dry form. One more, and I'm going to get it under his chin. Now, you want enough glue in here to be able to adjust all these hair patterns, all that the ruff that goes around the head, his collar. And it depends on what kind of animal you're doing. A bobcat is an animal that you can kind of do from morning to night. I mean, you can get the gist of it done in a day and a half. If it's something big, like African lion, leopard, something like that, you know, a bear, we tend not to use the Dermagrip Pro 1 type of glues because we want more adjustment for a longer time. And so for those, a lot of times we'll use dextrin-based glue or like the pre-mixed hide paste, the stuff that's brown, it looks like baby diapers. Mandy knows what that looks like.
I haven't seen a lot lately.
So could you use Dermagrip in some areas of the skin or some areas of the animal, and then the other hide paste on the body?
And that's kind of what we did here. We did Dermagrip on the face because we're going to be working with that face. And like I said the other day, my method of doing an animal, only me, you guys can do them any way you want, and everybody does. I've seen more methods of mounting animals than anything, but I got to get the face looking like a bobcat, or the rest of the animal start circling the drain. I have to make that look good. If it looks good, as I proceed, I get kind of excited about the project. And if it doesn't look bobcat-y, I tend to lose interest. Now, because of the size of my lip slot, it goes in pretty easy. Now, I got the front somewhat where I want it. I got bottom and front together. Now I determine where my back corner is, which is about right here. That's going to be my next tuck spot, if I can find it in the mannequin here.
Jim Jagger says his last cat was shot in the face with a buckshot.
We just had one too that went through both ears.
Oh my gosh.
And the lady was so happy when she picked it up. I thought she was going to cry, and I thought, oh, I thought we did a better job than that, but it was happy tears. Okay, then it's easiest and it works the best if you establish your front first, then your front top and bottom, then your back corners, and then do the parts in between. If you can divide it into rights and lefts, it'll go better.
And that'll kind of help with symmetry too. as they divide it in half.
It's like if you ever do antler mounts or stretch and bare rugs, if you don't divide things in half and you start and go all the way around a bear rug, all of a sudden you got a big hoop that you don't know what to do with. If you divide it in half, that's very helpful. Antler mounts too. Okay, now, as I'm got that tucked, now I'm just gonna push my clay into my seam, and that kind of gave me a real nice thin lip line. And always put glue in your lip line because it makes that skin way nicer to tuck in, way easier. Now I feel a big gather of skin right here. I'm just going to take my detail rougher and straighten out some of that skin. And once you tuck your lips, whether it's a deer or no matter what kind of animal it is, I always take my fingers and pull those away. Try pulling it out. If it pulls out that easily, you don't have it tucked very well. That doesn't pull out. This doesn't pull out. It's probably going to be good for the drying session.
A whole nother session? Just
Yeah,
for
I know. Also, don't forget this is one of my favorite tools.
That's pretty cool.
A little retractable awl, comes in about 3 different sizes, but it works real good for adjusting your skin. I can really line up these whisker pads with a probe like that. It's nothing more than something like a needle. Don't poke yourself. And then here's the area where I said you don't want a big isthmus of skin. So I'm just making that crease in there so I don't have a big black stripe down his face. And we don't want a lot of bottom lip showing, just slight. We'll check his nose. Okay, now, other than an eye, he's starting to look pretty good. You want to play with an eye?
Sure.
Want him in a cradle or on the face?
I think I better do it on the face.
Then he'll look good. Whenever you set eyes, laying down oftentimes isn't the best choice. Now my method is I go back and forth from eyes to ears to nose, and when I say I rough them in, I really do rough it in until I decide it's time to fine tune it.
And now these are reflective eyes, right? Correct? And in tucking those, we do not want to use these, my favorite eye tools. We don't want to use those because the reflective eyes are acrylic and they will scratch. So we want to take very, very good care not to scratch the acrylic eye. So this is a wooden tool. I'm going to use that just a little bit to taxi some skin around, and then we will do some tucking as well. Got a handy little probe. I might steal that. Ooh, I like this.
Yeah, those are nice.
I need one of those.
Tools galore.
And I'm just going to move this skin to match from left to right. so that I don't have to really manipulate the tuck very much at all. I'm going to get all the skin around in place so I'm not stretching to get to the eyelid. Then I'm going to establish the front corner, like so. And tuck the skin all the way around. A little turn here.
Also, on any of these fine animals, small animals that have, I call them petite faces, when you flesh any of those hairless areas very, very thin, they will spread out on you.
Just a little clay down here on the eye that I'd like to bring up.
That's interesting. As you're doing that, I see your hair patterns kind of falling into place, looking much better than where they were when you pulled that skin over that eye.
Yeah, that's...
All those markings moved on the top of his head.
It's such a fine, a fine distance between on a cat face where all of those little hair patterns go. Very, very easy to completely change the expression with just a tiny bit of skin movement, it seems like.
And in the mounting process, some of this is going to get disturbed, and you'll be coming back and repairing.
Okay. We've got some clay in that back corner I need to get out. It's a little bit dry. I might use just a brush to rehydrate it slightly before I try to remove it, just because I'm afraid it could scratch. What's that?
You need to make sure you don't do that in public when you're trying to be sneaky about it. with the sound on.
That's funny. Now wait, who's sneaking pictures in public?
Right, good point.
Yeah.
Never know.
Okay, and again, that little leader line off the back of the eye is a real telltale marker as to direction of hair pattern. If that line is properly adjusted, it should be coming off straight and then dropping down into this big pattern here in the side of the face. I see we're a little cleaner right here and tighter in the lower lid. I've got this pulled down a lot, so we'll bring that up. And then this area here seems to come down the face further than I have it there, so I'm going to watch that. See how much that changed right there. Tuck that up into the front. Oh, I've been painting fish all day. I got painty fingers. Something like that. And we will play with this, with these hair patterns and with these shapes continually through the process as things start to set up and dry, and we'll see a notable difference over the next day or so. I'm going to use a grooming brush just to see what I've got for hair patterns. He's still very wet, so hard to tell. A little bit hard to tell. Hair's a little matted, but we'll continue to watch that. Just back up into the nose.
Open that other one up that I did. It's kind of closed down.
Lower lid.
Top. Well, maybe
Top?
lower. Maybe lower. Yeah, top a little bit to the top of the pupil.
Got it.
I had him kind of sleeping.
I like your lower lid. I'd like to get mine just a little tighter, like yours is established there.
Now, as you're working on it, don't you feel it? Don't you feel the Bobcat coming out a little bit?
He's getting cattier and cattier. Of course, we're going to have to do some sewing here and adjusting skin as we go, so we'll establish that a little bit more. But I think we're at a place where we can kind of keep moving through. Check ear positions, check eyes, check mouth,
Sure.
so forth as we go.
Now, I think there's certain areas that connect. So as you skin the cat or raccoon or whatever it happens to be, this one was opened up all the way. A lot of you people will. Some people do dorsal incision. Some people do case incision. Some people make a little cut in the back or put the front half of the animal in. There's a lot of different ways to do it. There's certain animals I do like a dorsal incision, and there's some animals I don't. I'm not fond of them on otters. I find them hard to hide. Mountain lions, I find them hard to hide. But anyway, it's up to you wherever you, however you skinned him. Pretty soon it's time to start finding the points, the connecting, I call them connecting points. Here's one, as whoever skinned this, as they came up the belly and came across the arms, you'll end up with 2 points like this, which will go down between. He should have another couple over here, right here and right here, that are going to get pulled up, and they're going to get connected to those. So you're going to have a connecting point up in here. So we'll just take a pin and pin all four of them together and bury that pin right in the fur. In the back, most people will come up the back of the hind leg up to his anus, and then from there they will go up the belly if they were going to open them up. Otherwise, that would be your case incision there. This one was opened up all the way, so this portion is going to come up and connect up in there. So by this point, you should know that he fits, and everything should be, kind of shaved and shaped and sanded. So it's time to do the rest of the Bobcat. You could have done it before, but it's way easier, like I said, for me to do it after he starts looking a little Bobcat-y. My next choice would be to probably start working on his feet, and you can do his toes and everything first, or you can leave that for last. There's not really a special order. I would recreate his toes. Now there's lots of different ways to do this also. The one thing, be careful of, don't just take a whole gob of clay, stick it in there, and shove it on and sew him up. You'll see that a lot, and this looks like a great big dumpling, sitting there. It's just a big old, like it got run over and swelled up, and now he's climbing up on a log. So you want to recreate these toes, and the toes are kind of, we've got some good reference pictures. I don't know if we have any in there, but there's a definite shape to the toe, and something that we often do is we will take the claws out. You can leave the claws in. Claws are retractable. It's kind of like is that Edward Scissorhands that has that stuff? The claws are retractable, and they can be difficult to put into place. A cat at rest, typically, you don't feel the claws, you don't see them. If he's doing something, if he's pushing off with his back foot or climbing or catching something, you'll see him, yeah. Look at, I guess I call it a squareness to the toes. There's a little, as the joints, there's just a little squareness to the toes. You're gonna wanna create that. It's good to have good pictures. Look at your house cat. Look at your dogs if you're doing fox and coyotes, because there's a special shape. Some people, and Jacob was just skinning the beaver today, I said leave the toes in as we go through the tanning process, because you can use the toe bones so that you can get those to bend where you want to. A lot of people would leave the bones into their individual, leave them attached to the skin. Then you can clay the toe bones and you can actually bend them. So you're using the bones inside of the skin. Never take them out. And that works good. It's kind of, there's 1,000 different ways to mount animals, and that is one that I've had pretty good success with.
Jim Jagger wants to know if you super glued the claw opening.
To close it up, we sew it.
Usually a stitch or two.
It's your dog.
Attack dogs out there. Anyway, yeah, we do. We sew them. These have been taken out and then sewn up on the inside. Just a couple stitches.
Oh, claws are out on this?
On.
Looks like the fronts. Still got a claw.
Yeah, I see it. And this one too. And I see as I'm stretching, I tore a little hole in that we had fixed, so we have to sew that up. So we're gonna typically glue this whole animal. I don't want to get glue all over the hair, so a lot of times we will pin them where we think everything goes, and then we'll just open up spots and put our glue on. And keep it out of the hair best you can. Most of the, if it's a water-based glue like our Dextrin premixed, that comes out with water. If it's one of the Dermagrip or any of those type of glues, it will come out with water when it's fresh on the hide or in the hair. Otherwise, a little lacquer thinner or turpentine or some mineral spirits will take it out afterwards. Okay, so the next thing to do, and we won't make you watch us sew this, but that would probably be our next segment. We probably should have one more segment on this, shouldn't we?
I suppose.
No?
Customers never gonna get
I know. But they need to see how to finish this.
Yeah.
And
Should see 'em, should
so
see
we'll
'em.
walk you through what we're going to do next. So we're going to do the feet. We're going to sew him. Smaller stitches than you do on a lot of animals. We try to take nice, neat stitches. I don't like feeling them. The one secret for me that I think our fur bears come out better than a lot of people's fur bears is once we're completely done, we're very happy with them, whether it's the minute we get done sewing or 3 days from now, we like to wash them. And we'll take this whole Bobcat to the sink, spray him down with room temp to cool water. We'll use a good quality shampoo, and you've got good shampoo down there, right?
We do. And conditioner.
Any of the shampoo that you use, just make sure that it's a neutral pH, so you're not adding a whole bunch of base to your tanning chemicals or acid, something neutral, and shampoo the whole thing, rinse him out very, very good, and then we use hair conditioner like cream rinse, and we cream rinse the whole animal. Usually you get a little nicer results if you let it sit on there for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, and then rinse it out. Rinse them really, really clean. Then we blow dry them. And we will towel dry them first. We'll dry them just like your poodle. And then, once we have it towel dried good enough, we have livestock blowers like the guys do for spraying livestock at the fairs and things like that, and it makes short work of it. Be careful, you don't want to blow his ears off, or you don't want reflective eyes rolling across the floor or anything like that. They are very powerful, but you can blow dry this animal in a short amount of time. As you blow dry, take your hairbrush, start working your patterns really carefully, start doing all your detailed areas, and you can't believe how nice they will look once they're washed. Now, I have some people say, oh my gosh, do you do that with big animals like bears and goats? We do. We get the nicest, most luxurious looking black bear, and people say that'll take you a day to dry it. It does, but it makes the difference between a $1,500 black bear and a $4,000 black bear. There's just no comparison, and it's something we've always done. But we like any of our fur bears, we like washing them, cream rinsing them, blow drying them, and start fine tuning all of your detailed areas and make them look bobcatty or berry or whatever it happens to be. Do you have some things you need to?
We have giveaways. Make sure you share the video. And then we recently did what was it? Tag your favorite friend and your favorite product on Facebook. And we had a lot of responses. It was actually really fun to see. So we actually picked 2 winners, and it's the first one to comment in if you're watching. And if you're not watching, we'll try tagging your friend to see if they get it. But Adam Lubenthal was one for the semi-sneak form, or Luis Hayden with the Pan Pastel kit. So if either of you are watching, one of your lucky friends will get that piece.
I don't think Adam can watch because he's driving a UPS truck. Ooh, they won't
Unless,
let him do that.
Well, I'm sure they do.
If he does
he might
and claims it, he might lose his job.
What if he's not working today?
So those are for that. And then last week's share, who do you have for that, Caitlin?
So we have Ken Kipp or Jesse Hesse
Oh, wow.
from last
We
week.
know
So
all
if
the
you
people,
are
yeah.
watching live, make sure to give us a comment.
Yeah, coming
Does
in.
Ken Kip win a horned toad?
We're gonna do reflective eyes again because those were a hit on one of the favorite products that got tagged. The reflective eyes were a huge hit. Taxidermy University DVDs were a huge hit. Wildlife Illusions. Lots of tools.
Favorite tools.
Yep. That detail form rougher. So there's a lot of good stuff. So it's hard to pick. But so would Christopher Cadis be watching or Aaron Wolf? If you are watching, you're the lucky friends of those 2. So let us know if you're watching. Otherwise, we're just gonna have to randomly pick one. Jesse Hesse's watching.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
Perfect. So you will get reflective eyes.
Jesse
Let us
Hesse,
know.
did quite well at the Nationals, correct?
Exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Yeah, national champion with a couple critters, I think. Small game. He had
Weasel?
an otter. He had a weasel. I think he placed in our competitors, in the competitors category with 4 mounts in hand.
And Jesse is a Northwest Iowa School of Taxidermy alumni
From way back.
from way back.
20 years ago.
Is this a rock you have on the bottom there?
Yeah, I might have some of those here. Not the same one. Oh yeah, it is.
It is. Look at that. That's a nice little detail there.
See these little rock clusters, I just needed something here. These are the ones you can drive over and you won't hurt them. The girls paint them up real pretty. I took that, stuck it right onto there. I took a couple big long torque bit screws and I screwed it right into my foam base and my log. I will cover up any screw heads with a little bit of moss. This is going to be all grassed and mossed. And that was kind of a nice addition, huh?
It fit well.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Jesse. If you were missing our video, Facebook Live videos, you can check us out on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. And there's a lot of people that are asking for catalogs. If you've requested a catalog and have not received it, we are out. So we'll put you on the list for 2020. We're slaving away on it. We're hoping to get it November, December-ish.
Your number count was pretty darn good though.
It was pretty good. It got us through the summer. But we do have an online flip book. So if you do want to see what's in it or get the feel, it's online. You can go online and it's very easy. It'll take you straight to the website as well for the product. So check us out with that. Give us a call 1-800-488-3256 or visit us online at www.matuskataxidermy.com. And Bobcat,
Finish it up
session
next week.
8
Yeah,
next week.
18 next week. Promise to finish it. We will have him washed and shampooed. We'll have his face completely finished except for finished.
Yeah.
We'll do the finish work for you. We will have some base work done. He'll be all sewed up and he'll start looking like a bobcat.
Nice.
Thanks for tuning in.
Make sure to like and share this video also, and comment shared in the comments to be entered for next week's live giveaway. Okay.
Thanks.